What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are talking about the Detroit Lions' third-round pick, their other third-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, where they selected Jonah Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State. Let's get it started. That is right, everyone. So welcome into another video. Yes, we're talking about a guard today. This may be a little bit shorter than other ones because I don't know and necessarily as much to take away from a guard as other positions, but we definitely have to do it because, you know, this is a very big move for the Detroit Lions as they actually moved up to get him. Now, make sure you go check out my Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn video. If you have not, you're missing out. If you have not, obviously, I love the draft. Some people think it's serious. I loved the draft. I've given all A's so far, so it's not like I really didn't like the draft. I love the draft. I just thought it was something funny to do. Anyways, Detroit Lions moved up to get Jonah Jackson. Oh, and if you guys want to see me do these on free agents, let me know in the comments below because I can do those. I was thinking about it. But the Detroit Lions traded up to get Jonah Jackson in the third round because they had picks number 67 and 85. At 67, we know they selected Julian Okwara. And at 85, I guess they just felt like, you know, they were too far back and they didn't want to lose out on their guys. So they decided to move up with the Indianapolis Colts, who sat at number 75, to make sure they went and got their guard in Jonah Jackson. So the Lions got 75 and 197, which is a sixth round pick. And they gave up 85, 149, and 182. So basically, they moved back in the sixth and they gave up a fifth. That's really all it was. And that's a pretty dang good trade, if you ask me, to make sure you get a guy in the third round. I think that's a really good move for the Detroit Lions, and I think it ended up working out very well. Some people say, you know, we basically, you know, got rid of Slade for Jonah Jackson, kind of, a little bit. But I think this was a really good move. I mean, this wasn't too much to give up to move up 10 spots. But one thing I did want to see is, okay, did anybody, you know, from 75 to 85, before the Lions, you know, moved back up, did anybody in between that range take a lineman? Because maybe the Lions were scared that one of those teams might take one. So the two teams actually did take a lineman between, you know, that range. Was the Broncos at 83. They selected Lloyd Cushenberry out of the center out of LSU, and the Falcons at 78, who selected Matt Hennessy. But they selected Matt Hennessy and Lloyd Cushenberry. So two offensive linemen, two interior offensive linemen, and there's probably, I would say there is a chance that, you know, one of those two teams probably did take Jonah Jackson. Obviously, there's more teams in there, but maybe when Jackson was gone, they decided to go elsewhere. But those are two teams that still took a lineman. So possibly they could have been looking at Jonah Jackson, and it would not have shocked me if they would have went that route, because Jonah Jackson, to me, is one of the top offensive linemen in this draft, and he just looks really good when you watch him. So let's talk about him. This was a 3-star recruit out of 247 Sports, out of high school. He played a left tackle and defensive tackle in high school, and he ended up going to Rutgers, not Ohio State. I know he's from Ohio State, but he went to Rutgers first. And at Rutgers, this to me is more impressive. I know it's impressive that you went to Ohio State and, you know, got the starting job and everything. I think it's super impressive that you played even better at Rutgers, but yet you were still playing Big Ten teams, because Rutgers is in the Big Ten. It's a worse team, so he probably has worse talent around him, and he even played better at Rutgers than he did when he went to Ohio State. He was younger. So I think, to me, that's super impressive that he was able to both compete very well there and at Ohio State, you know, move to different places. But he started at Rutgers, and here's one interesting fact I took away from this, is at Rutgers he actually played at center and right guard for his first 5 starts, and in 2018 he was their starting right guard. So think about that, a full year of starting at right guard, when this is a guy that we know played all left guard in 2019 with Ohio State. He played all left guard, but in 2018 he actually played all right guard. So that tells me that he can play both positions, and the transition from both spots is super impressive, and to keep and play at that high of a level that he did and be able to start, you know, at every place he went, I think that's really impressive. But to me, that's really important, though, that he can play right guard and some center. Right now, the Detroit Lions also drafted Logan Steinberg, who is another guard later who we'll talk about, and he played left guard a lot last season too for Kentucky. So, you know, bringing in 2 left guards doesn't make sense, but now that I know he can play right guard, maybe he moves to that spot because he actually did grade out even better with Rutgers. So, you know, it's interesting. We'll see what they do with it, but I think that's awesome to have a guy that can do both. But overall, he's a very, very good player. He transferred to Ohio State, and Quinn said this. This is what Quinn felt about him transferring. He said he wanted to play against and with better talent. You know, he wanted to put himself out there against the best.
You know, both nasty guys. And that was one of Graham's calling cards, right? He's a nasty player. He's a finisher. I would put Jonah in that same category. You know, a little bit of different story. You know, Jonah was a grad transfer that played at Rutgers at a very high level, and then wanted to go and play against the best. So that kind of told me something when we, you know, talked to this kid, and, you know, why'd you want to play another year? He could have came out last year. He wanted to play against the best competition. So that says something.
That's what Bob Quinn felt about this, so he was actually impressed by this move from Jonah Jackson to go from Rutgers and then Ohio State to start at Ohio State and play well, which is true. I mean, to go to Ohio State in 1 year and then start and then, be a very impactful player is pretty impressive, but still, I think the Rutgers thing, you can't take it away. He was still playing Big Ten teams, so I think that's pretty cool. He allowed 1 sack in over 1,000 snaps. I think a lot of people know about that one by now. I think he also allowed 17 pressures in total over 800. What was it? 800 snaps, something like that. It's incredible. His numbers are really, really good. I mean, I haven't seen numbers like this when it comes to pass protection. Now, his run blocking is average. He grades out average. People say he's average all the time. I watched him. It doesn't look like he's kind of a mauler, a guy that's just going to be running over people. He looks like a guy that's really, really solid with what he does. He's very good in his zone running scheme because that's what Ohio State did. They all go one way, all linemen go one way, and the running back can cut back the other. He's very good at that. Lions, I don't know if they do that a ton, but they may mix it in. They do it a few times. I know they do it a few times with Carolina and stuff, so maybe he'll be able to help out in those regards. The thing that I really liked about him was that, if he was blocking someone or there was no one to block, he would always go find someone else. He'd go help someone else or he'd go to the next level and help block, and I thought that was pretty cool. But really, it's the pass protection that really sells me here because Logan Steinberg is a great run blocker, but Jonah Jackson is an incredible pass blocker, and the numbers don't lie. But when you watch him, super, super consistent. I mean, he's the guy that's just not getting beat. He just never gets beat. He's just always there, well balanced, using his hands well, and he just doesn't get beat. He's just on it. He's on it, and it's like, okay, wow. I mean, it's like he's not even out there because there's no really even push. He'll take a couple steps back, but there's nothing. I mean, he's not getting ran over or anything. I didn't see, and that was versus Clemson and stuff. So I didn't really see, any time that he was getting ran over. So I thought the balance was very good at pass protection, very consistent. It wasn't like there was any kind of lapses, and he was solid in the run. It wasn't anything that's gonna blow you away when it comes to run blocking, but it was solid, and you need that for a team that's trying to become able to run the ball again. Looking at the pros and cons that I took away from him is that he had great balance. He has the ability to play all 3 interior offensive line positions, which is extremely important, okay, because, that's the reason he drafted Graham Glasgow. That's what Bob Quinn talked about. He wanted those kind of guys that are mean, that are nasty. He felt there was some of that in Jonah Jackson.
Guard, transfer from Rutgers, really tough guy, strong, athletic, smart, nasty. I mean, any O-line trait that you put in the scouting manual, this guy has it. Really a guy that we targeted dating back before the Senior Bowl.
There was definitely some of that in Logan Steinberg, just like there was with Graham Glasgow. So that's why he goes that route with his offensive lineman. And to me, that's what it's all about, and it's obviously paid off when he went and got Graham Glasgow, so I trust that that's the right thing to go after when you're going after interior offensive linemen. Again, he's consistent. He's a top pass blocker. He really can block in any kind of pass play, even when the quarterback's scrambling around, because Justin Fields would run around a lot back there, so that was pretty cool. He's always able to find another guy. He's never not doing anything. If there's no one there, he'll go help someone else block. He's just not just standing there really ever. And he has great hands. He's able to keep them tight. A couple of cons I took away. He's not the same kind of run blocker as Logan Steinberg. He doesn't have that huge physical build that, a big mauler offensive lineman does. But again, I think it's average or good enough where it's going to help your run game. It's just not something that may, set you over the edge of your rushing game. And I think that's why Logan Steinberg is going to give you kind of a different mix at that guard position. So overall, I like the move. I'm always one that's like, hey, go get your guy if you want him. I mean, hey, Packers traded up to go get their quarterback. They wanted him. We traded up to get our offensive lineman. We wanted him. And, offensive line is something that we need to fix. It's not like, the running game as a whole is something that we need to fix. And bringing in Logan Steinberg, which we will talk about next, as our next pick, was a great pick. But then we brought in Jonah Jackson here. I love doubling up on guards. I've done multiple mock drafts where I took multiple offensive linemen, even back-to-back rounds like they did here. Not necessarily always the same players, but doubling up on offensive line to me was a good move. We didn't bring in a tackle, so that tells me Big V's probably going to play a tackle unless I learn that Logan Steinberg can do that. But, I guess Jonah Jackson played left tackle in high school, so maybe. But overall, man, you stack off the offensive line. You're trying to get a run game going, something that we haven't had in a long, long time. Really nothing that we've ever had under Stafford. And when we have had under Stafford, Stafford has been really, really good. And we just don't lose. We don't lose that often when Stafford has the actual running game in any specific game. So, stacking this offensive line is super important. And getting a guy like this, who's not necessarily bad as a pass blocker, he's actually one of the top pass blockers, is going to be great to protect Stafford from the interior of some of those big defensive linemen. So, overall, I love this. Trading up, I think, you had to go do it, and you didn't give up too much. I'm struggling with what grade to give an offensive lineman. I think, this one's hard because I don't think it's a bad move. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's like a B. I don't know if it's an A, because he did move up 10 spots, but I feel like he didn't give up enough. You know what? Forget it. I'm giving it an A-. Jonah Jackson's an A-, man. He's one of the top offensive linemen in this draft, and a lot of people don't realize how well he actually did at everything. And the fact that he can play all positions, and the fact that he's going to come in and fit in like glue, and I think he's going to be a starter right away. I'm going to give this an A-, Bob. I really like this move. I know you traded up and you gave away like a few picks, or you moved back and around, but I mean, it is what it is. Go get your guy, and you got a starter here. So far, we've had all A's, but I've loved this draft. So anybody that thinks I didn't love this draft because of my last video, I love the draft. I mean, come on, man. I can't make it any more simple. And overall, this Jonah Jackson pick was really good. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.